Jeez. It seems like whenever we stray from anything besides Pokemon videos, the videos just tend to not do super well.
That's all people care about from you anymore. You've become a Pokatuber like the rest of them.
Well, I mean, I can do other Nintendo things, but it seems that once I stray from Nintendo completely, it tends to be a guaranteed flop. And we actually lose money on those ones.
Oh, please. It can't actually be that bad. As long as you talk about a Nintendo-esque character like Sonic, you'll be fine.
Well, today we are listing all of the crossovers of two Sony superstars, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Skylander.
Spyro's topical. This video will do fine.
You know, since when are you the positive one?
Since you all of a sudden became pessimistic. I'm your antithesis. I change my mind on things just so we don't agree anymore.
You must have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
So first off, who has crossed over into other franchises the least? That would be a good start. It's Spyro, for sure. And it's hard not to start a video about these two without mentioning their crossovers with each other, of which there are plenty. Spyro Orange and Crash Purple were GBA games where they each crossed into each other's worlds. You could also unlock Spyro as a playable character in Crash Nitro Kart on the Game Boy Advance, and in Skylanders you can play as Crash and Neo Cortex. And speaking of Skylanders, you can also play as Donkey Kong and Bowser in Skylanders Superchargers. But back to the main series of Spyro, though.
The true series? God, Skylanders turned him into a pug!
Back to main Spyro though, Agent Zero from Spyro 2 is featured in the Ranko-meter in Ratchet & Clank, and a fun fact, an enemy in Spyro 2 served as the inspiration for the characters of Ratchet & Clank later on. Neat. In the game Asterix and Obelisk XXL2, a game which is going to get its own episode because it's full of great crossover references.
It'll do terribly. It's a game nobody outside of Europe even cares about. And even then.
I'll just do it anyway, but frame it with clickbait. Anyway, Spyro appears engraved in stone, battle ready, and the dragon heads on the front of some ships feature Spyro heads in place of the generic Viking dragon heads. And while clearly not a direct crossover, here's a fun little reference.
You shouldn't anger a magician, Spyro. I just might decide to turn you into a blue hedgehog or something.
And that actually does it for Spyro. Crash, on the other hand, has loads more.
Definitively proving which of the two game series is the better.
Don't start a flame war. One of the most obvious crossovers is into Uncharted 4, where Crash Bandicoot is a fictional video game in Nathan's world as well. And then there's a more subtle crossover within Naughty Dog's other game, Jak and Daxter. The carnivorous plant enemy from Crash is also found in Samos's hut. It's a directly imported model, a reused asset, but perhaps they meant it as more than just an Easter egg. Back to Asterix and Obelisk, seeing as Spyro apparently existed in their world, it's no surprise that Crash did at one point too. There is a giant Crash statue. Well, maybe a relative of his. And all of the totem poles are topped with Crash's face. A commercial for Ty the Tasmanian Tiger shows that Ty is stronger than Sonic, Crash, and Spyro, as he's not all beat up in a hospital. Also, apparently Croc ate Crash, which crocodiles tend to do to bandicoots. Lovely. And while none of these actually count as crossovers, it's still fun to mention. There are tons of loose Donkey Kong and Mario references throughout the Crash series, from enemies to concepts to enemies saying, "Oh, you thought he was an Italian plumber or something?" Also, again, none of these actually count, but Crash references loads of other games in its level titles. From the cover art of Crash Bandicoot Warped referencing Terminator, to levels named after other Naughty Dog games like Ski Crazed and Rings of Power, as well as referring to other games as a whole like Tomb Waiter. And I've mentioned this before, that this is a crossover web for video games, so TV shows and movies don't count, unless it's in a game based on said show or movie. But still, these are pretty neat, so I'll still mention the following. Crash Bandicoot was a bit of a cultural phenomenon, and as such, was used in loads of shows as the prop for whenever someone was playing a video game. This is the case in The Simpsons, Baby Geniuses, Felicity, Dawson's Creek, Friends, Kids World, The Country Bears, Game Over, Angel, Family Guy, and the Futurama comic book series.
Crash really gets around.
Yeah, and it's always really interesting seeing how our favorite video game characters spread across the crossover multiverse.
and how much better and more beloved Crash is compared to Spyro.
Alright, you can have your flame war. But it's all on him, not me. So did I miss any? And what series should I cover next? Let me know down below, and until next time, please never stop using your noggin.